So this is more Shessa. I want to say just hello to all the women on podcasting.
Are you an indie podcast or content creator looking to reach a wider audience? Look no further. Introducing Podcastic, the ultimate podcast network designed exclusively for indie creators like you. At Podcastic, we believe in the power of unique voices and fresh perspectives. We're here to amplify your passion and creativity, connecting you with a growing community of engaged listeners who crave original content. Podcastic is more than just a platform. It's a support system built for indie podcasters, offering a range of resources to help you succeed. From tailored promotional campaigns to professional production assistance, we're here to help you shine.
The content you're about to hear is a part of a paid programming segment. The views, opinions, and statements expressed belong solely to the sponsor and do not reflect those of Podcastic or its host. This segment is for informational and promotional purposes only and should not be considered as advice or endorsement. Listener discretion is advised.
One step closer, you got to get one step closer, closer to love, closer to God, closer to who you want to be in life. Why? You got to get one step closer, closer to love, closer to God, closer to who you want to be in life. Take one step at a time to reach your goals. Ooh.
Hey everybody, happy Thursday. So glad that you made it here. I have another great show for you today. So welcome to One Step Closer with Shani Shan. So I have a wonderful guest, so allow me to do the honors of reading the bio, and then we're going to get right into introducing you to the guest. So my wonderful guest today is Brother Bedford. Brother Bedford is originally from Detroit and is now based in Atlanta, Georgia. He is a visionary strategist, best-selling author, and an entrepreneurial mentor known for helping ambitious, growth-minded Black entrepreneurs become highly valued, highly respected, and highly paid. He is the author of The Black Entrepreneurial Revolution, Time Dictates the Agenda, a powerful blueprint for wealth, ownership, and economic liberation in the 21st century. He is also the creator of Black Entrepreneur Scorecard, a diagnostic tool helping entrepreneurs assess their business readiness and unlock their next levels of success. As the founder of the MOB, Masters of Business, Network and Mastermind, and Conversation with Black Millionaires, Brother Bedford has created platforms that connect, elevate, and empower entrepreneurs committed to doing for self and creating lasting impact. He has served as a trusted coach and consultant to business owners with revenues ranging from $1 million to tens of millions, blending sharp business strategies with deep cultural insight. Brother Bedford has shared stages with iconic leaders such as Dr. George Fraser, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, Linda Clemens, Julian, and was an opening speaker for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is the author of several books and special reports and publishes the MOB Report, a widely read digital newsletter released every Sunday morning. Whether through writing, speaking, or mentoring, Brother Bedford's mission remains clear: to help Black entrepreneurs do more than just succeed, to lead, to own, and to build legacies. So do me the honors of welcoming Brother Bedford.
Hi, Ken.
Hi.
How
Thank
are
you
you?
so much for joining me today. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for the introduction. Thank
That
you for
is
the invitation
good.
to be on the show.
No problem. Your bio is amazing. So I definitely want to dive right in as far as mentoring and things of that nature. So what inspired you first to even get into entrepreneurship and to start your business?
Wow, great question. I've practically been an entrepreneur all my life. I probably only had three jobs that I could say that I've held, and I don't think any one of them lasted longer than maybe 90 days or a summer like that. It's just, I've always just wanted to create and build. Uh, Discovered I had some talent in the entertainment space when I was young. And so, even in the entertainment space, when we were putting out records and singing and dancing in my teenage years, even then it was still entrepreneurial. We were booking our own shows and
Nice.
selling. Back in the day, we used to sell the CDs out of the trunk. I think Miles Dixon would know some stuff about that. How we used to just
That
sell
was the hustle
CDs
and
and
grind.
yeah, for the CDs. And then I started doing concert promotions after that because it kind of dovetailed into me booking myself, but then also promoting other artists and having different shows right there in the city of Detroit. And that's been kind of the way that I've done it. That slowly grew into uh,
Nice.
entrepreneurship in terms of real estate investing and learning how to do that. And then from real estate investing, learning this online digital space. And we've been doing that for the past 20 plus years. And so that's kind of where we are
Wow,
now. So it's been
congratulations.
something that's always been there.
Congratulations. So this all started from just a matter of you being able to do singing or music is where it kind of stemmed from.
Yeah, and that kind of helped me. I would say that that's kind of how it started for me, but my deeply rooted belief is that everyone is born with the potential and the capacity to do something for themselves. Everybody has some gifts, some talents, some strengths, some interests, and some curiosities. And that's the way that God created us to be able to do something for ourselves. Unfortunately, we've had this sojourn in America where we weren't allowed to do that for so many years, from slavery on up until today, where it was we were working for somebody else for free for
Yes.
over 300 years, and then after that, you get into sharecropping, and then the industrial revolution caused the explosion of jobs and employment. However, that's not what we were designed for. So we did that, but I think it's coming full circle now as you see jobs decreasing, some industries evaporating. You're
Yes.
starting to see more people now on a quest. They're searching for who they are. What am I here for? What are
Yeah,
my
very much
gifts? What
so.
are my talents? And now we have to kind of start over and kind of build our own entrepreneurial world around that. So my deeply rooted belief is that we all are entrepreneurial by nature, right? That's just a French word. It's a French
So it's
word that
by
just came
nature.
into the yeah, entrepreneur is just a
So we
French
all
word, but
have it in us
everybody has it in us. Every single person has a unique talent, a unique gift, a unique
that was
strength
given.
that was given at birth, right? No, nobody had to really tell you, you know, who you are at your core if we're allowed to study that, if we're allowed to explore that. So that's the challenge I think for a lot of us is that we just don't explore that part of us, right? We're looking for something external instead of looking internal
It's
and say, okay,
internal.
this is what I should be doing.
Wow, that's good. So how do you feel as far as the power of the voice? So since you said that we, didn't have the voice to be able to kind of stand up and be in those different rooms and things like that,
Yeah.
how important is voice?
I think that's a beautiful question. That's probably the best question I've been asked in a long, long time.
Wow,
And I'll tell
thank
you
you.
why. And I'll tell you why because Stephen Covey, who was the author of Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, um, he wrote another book called The Eighth Habit. And, it was right before he passed away. And then after the release of The Eighth Habit, most people don't really recognize that book. But that book, The Eighth Habit, is about moving towards, and I like your title of your show, one step closer towards mastery. And the step that he says that's that next step towards mastery is finding your voice. And so when you ask the question, how do you feel about voice? I think that's the quest or the journey for all of us is to find our unique voice. Again, this is in alignment with talent, skills, and gifts, but voice is how we express it. Now, that's only one half of the equation, though. That's the first half, is that now we're all on this journey to find what is our voice. But the second part of that is, if we're going to achieve mastery, now once you find your voice, now can you help someone else find their voice? And
That's
so,
really what it is all about.
absolutely.
Not
So I love your
gatekeeping
question.
and being able to spread that knowledge out. So that's good. That is very good. So, in regards to the books that you were just referring to, what are some good books that you feel like every entrepreneur should read, or ones that are maybe your favorite?
Oh wow, I would say just study everything, right? I would be biased to say, well, you should pick up my books, right? You should. Matter of fact, here's some right here, right? The
Say
Black
plug.
Entrepreneurial Revolution, right? Start
Yeah.
right there, right? But then we did Conversations with Black Millionaires. But the story behind those books, though, um, or why I even started that interview series, is that I was reading two books at the time that I kind of stumbled into that, and that was Success Runs in Our Race by Dr. George C. Frazier, and Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dr. Dennis Kimbro. And it was me reading their books that allowed me to, or inspired me to want to interview them to go further, right? But in that, one of the things that Dr. Frazier said to me, uh, which was a compliment, was, Brother B, you don't have a problem of going and studying at the feet of masters, right? So that's kind of, I thank God for that spirit of wanting to learn and
Yeah,
learn
being
at the feet of the
coachable.
masters. Yeah, so be coachable, be trainable, be teachable. And so there are a lot of books. So, but starting right there, especially from our perspective, because the entrepreneurial journey for Black people is a little bit different than it is for other
That is
uh,
true.
cultures and communities. And so I would definitely recommend reading Success Runs in Our Race by Dr. George C. Frazier, which helps you with learning how to build effective relationships. His second book, Click, is a masterpiece on developing extraordinary relationships. And I would read all of his stuff, Dr. Dennis Kimbro's books on What Makes the Great Great, and Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, which is actually, just for the listeners who probably hear of, one of the best books to read is Think and Grow Rich, which is a great book to read by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill even himself knew that the journey for Black people of learning how to become successful, rich, and wealthy was different. And so even he started to write a book. I'm talking about the Napoleon Hill, on how to help Black people discover those secrets and those principles that are in Think and Grow Rich. However, he died before he could complete it. And his foundation, which was headed up by W. Clement Stone, who was probably one of the richest men of that time, who used the principles, he sought out Dr. Dennis Kimbro. And so he gave Dr. Kimbrough the last 100 pages that Napoleon Hill had ever written. And these words were supposed to be targeted towards Black people to help them to think and grow rich. And Dr. Dennis Kimbrough was commissioned with that great assignment to complete that work. So they're actually the co-authors of that book. Most people think that that's Dr. Dennis Kimbrough's take on Think and Grow Rich. It's not that. He actually is the co-author with the Napoleon Hill of Think and Grow
Wow.
Rich, A Black Choice. I would
I,
start
I
there.
didn't even know that.
I was
So,
like, wow. Yeah.
so, brother Bedford, I do want you, because me and you guys, we got a little bit of history, right?
Oh, we got a whole lot of history, Miles. We got a whole lot of history.
And so when I come from my entrepreneurial standpoint, people be looking at me like, that sound good, but right. And I want you to just tap in. Probably my last time really speaking up about how did George Frazier, Dr. George C. Frazier, how did y'all connect on Conversations with Black Millionaires? What made him say yes to the interview? Real
Oh,
quick,
wow. Well, great question. He had something to sell. He had something that he wanted to get out to other people. When I started on that journey, and just to kind of give people the backstory on that project, Conversation with Black Millionaires, as I started working in the online space and creating small reports, was the first thing I did, how I started getting those notifications of payment received, as we called them online. It was me developing small reports of people asking me questions about, at that time, it was real estate was the primary thing, but then it was also about entrepreneurship and things like that. But then I was reading a book, and it was a book called Conversations with Millionaires. And that book only had one Black person in it, and that was Wallace Amos from Famous Amos Cookies. And that's when my idea, it sparked in my mind. I said, wouldn't it be nice if somebody interviewed our Black millionaires and put it into an ebook, since that's what I was doing at that time. And so the first part, and I
That's
was
so
reading those
good.
books that I just recommended to you all. I was actually reading Dr. Frazier's book, Success Runs in Our Race, and Dr. Dennis Kimbrough's book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make the call so that they will be my first interviews. And I called down to Cleveland, Ohio, and the young woman there who was actually assisting Dr. Frazier at that time, I said, this is, I'm a knucklehead guy, this knucklehead brother from the city of Detroit. I got this idea of interviewing successful Black millionaires, and I'd like to interview George Frazier for my ebook. And she shot me down. She said, I don't think he would be interested because I wasn't CNN, I wasn't Wall Street Journal, anything like that they were used to for their publications, and for him to grant interviews. And she said, well, I don't think he would be interested. He was out of town at that moment. And I kept, plugging, I tell you what, I'll leave my number. And if he's interested, he can call me when he's ready. And she shot me down one last time. She said, you can leave your number, but why don't you try back in around 6 months? Because I don't think he'll be interested, but try back, something may change. And so when I got off the phone, of course, my heart had sunk in my chest. I was a little deflated. But here's what happened, Miles. It's a great question, and I think it's a great story for budding entrepreneurs to kind of think about your own journey. So as I was deflated, around 5 to 10 minutes later, my phone rings, and I see that I think it's 216 area code number, right? I'm not sure if it's him, but I say I don't know too many people, especially at that time in Cleveland or in
Right.
the Ohio area.
So what's the chances?
And then I picked up the phone and I heard airport noise in the back. And the airport noise, you can hear them talking about next flights and things like that. Then there was this voice over the phone that said, young man, this is Dr. Frazier, and I hear you want to interview me. Now, if your listeners are paying attention, my heart was about to jump out of my chest
Yeah.
at that moment. And I said, yes, sir, Mr. Frazier, I do want to interview you, but we can't do it like this. I need you to call into a bridge line, and it was free conference call.com at that time. So if anybody's asking and saying, well, how much does that cost? It was free conference call.
We like free.
Congrats. So I had the bridge line, and I said, I need you to call in, and I'll call in, then we'll have the conversation and record it. He said, I'll be in my office in 15 minutes. And I said, I'll email you the number. And that 15 minutes gave me enough time to write down 5 questions. And once he called in and I called in, then we proceeded to have the interview. And we talked for an hour and 35 minutes.
Wow.
So he gave me all of that content, and I'm just asking a question, and then he can go, right? Kind of like how I'm doing now. I can go, right? It's kind
No, you're fine. I'm taking it all in.
right. So you can go. But to answer Miles' question directly, because this is something that the assistant didn't understand, who is this new person trying to interview Dr. Frazier? Again, I'm not a CNN, I'm not an NBC or anything like that. But to your point, Miles, to answer your question, why did he give the interview? Was because he understood the value of me providing a new audience for him. He's
Yes.
selling something. He got a
Exactly.
conference, he got books. So as an entrepreneur, he understands the power of media. He understands the giving of the interview, and knowing that there may be some people that I may know that I can reach that he probably couldn't reach. And so that, again, that wasn't apparent at the beginning, but as I've grown, this is why people would grant you those interviews if you can provide an audience, if you can provide maybe some relationships that they don't have. And it's proven to be true, because from that interview, I started helping him. The following year, we set up the first affiliate program for the Power Networking Conference, sold it out. It hadn't been sold out in years. And from that work of setting up an affiliate program to help sell out the Power Networking Conference, I received a letter about a month or two later. And it said that because of your exemplary work in our community, Dr. Frazier would like to invite you to be a presenter at the Power
Wow.
Networking
Look at
Conference.
that.
So
Delay does not mean denial, ladies and gentlemen.
absolutely, absolutely. So that following year, I was on the conference. I've spoken, and I've been a fixture at the PNC since then, and it's been well
Wow.
over 15 years.
Congratulations for
We're grateful.
that. Congratulations for that. And like you said, just the willingness to even reach out and want to be a part and want him to be a part of what you had going on, and then understanding from a business and entrepreneur standpoint that he has something to sell. He needs a platform to be able to do that on. So that's really good. And again, congratulations. So with entrepreneurship, do you feel as though entrepreneurs have a specific target audience, or do you feel like that kind of grows as their business grows?
My answer has evolved over time. Um, a few years ago, I would have said yes about target audience and doing that type of marketing. But as we started, and I mentioned that every entrepreneur has a unique talent, skill, and gift. And we're in a time where every entrepreneur should be building their companies or their businesses from their own unique perspective, from our own intellectual property. And so I would say now, especially with the access to media and the different things that we have now, I would say that it's easier now to be yourself, truly yourself,
Yes.
and create and add value and then attract the right types of audiences to you. Now, of course, you still have to, survey the land and see where your people are and things like that. But the whole target marketing type of thing that we used to do a few years ago, which was again appropriate for the time, but things are changing fast. And so I would say nowadays it's more important to know who and what you are and begin to create your brand or your business around your intellectual property, and then attract the people who have the same interests, curiosities, likes, and dislikes that you have.
And then it'll just kind of align from there. Okay.
Absolutely. Now,
Okay.
it's easier said than done, right?
Yes, of course.
However,
And you said your answer have evolved. So that means that, growth is just always somewhere in the mix.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely,
So going
absolutely.
back to your story, you said when you kind of got the initial rejection, your heart kind of sank, but then 5 to 10 minutes after, it started to, more so flutter because you had acquired that opportunity. And at that point, it was a level of success that you had required. So how would you define success today? What does that look like, or what is success essentially?
Wow. And that's it's a great question. And I think the more exposure we get, the more we grow, the more we kind of define success for ourselves. What's success for me may not be success for you, right? May not be success for Miles. And in most cases, it's not. You've heard me say it earlier about uniqueness. I know we probably don't have a lot of time to go on that, but I'm a firm believer in the uniqueness of us and how each of us, based upon our taste, our likes, all of those different things. Did I freeze up?
No,
No.
we're still here. We got you.
Okay. Look, I saw a little freeze up on the screen. Uh, you'll determine what success is for you. I think the challenge for a lot of us today is that as we talked about the media and the expansion of the media, and that's, let me say this. So let me take one step back to say this, because you asked a question about entrepreneurship. I think all entrepreneurs need to realize two things now, um, that we are all media companies and we are all intellectual property companies, right? And the sooner we can grasp that and understand that and make that the gospel for us, it'll be easier for us. See, like what you're doing right now is media. There was a time that you couldn't do, we wouldn't be doing this, right? So
Yes.
we were blocked by media and distribution of other people, right? That's not the case anymore. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has the ability to do audio, podcasts, newsletters, whatever. So now we're media. But now we have to use our intellectual property, our IP, our intelligence, our stories, our experiences, our relationships, our unique skills, to kind of deliver that into the marketplace, like what I'm doing with you today, right? I'm delivering my experiences, my stories, my relationships, and we're hoping that it's adding value to your listeners, to those who are tuning in to get this. And so, with that said, this media, this intellectual property, the challenge now, the flip side of that is that now we have this desire to compare and compete with other people. And if we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people, we're looking at their apparent levels of success, or what is success for them, or what looks like success on Instagram or
Yes.
TikTok.
And
And then
comparison
that's what
is
we,
the thief of joy.
yeah. And so that's why we're using it as that's the measuring stick. When, again, if we can stay steadfast to the principles that we discussed earlier, um, then we would see that success is truly defined by us, but it's only going to be truly defined by us the more we get in tune with who and what we are and our unique talents, skills, gifts, and strengths.
So that's what you were saying before with actually going within to find those answers of things that we are looking for.
Absolutely. It's of paramount importance today. This type of talk, so even when Miles and others talk about the frustration that we're experiencing with interacting and engaging with each other on these levels and talking about entrepreneurship and business, it's that reason, right? We're still trying to merge the old industrial thinking, old employment thinking, and now we have not just those who want to be free and do something for themselves and be
Yeah.
entrepreneurial. Not only that, technology, AI. So there's this clashing of so many different
Yeah.
things
So much you got
happening.
to keep up with.
Absolutely. That is causing the frustration and disappointment and dissatisfaction. However, the key is, how do we discover the uniqueness of each individual and allow that person, I love your question earlier, find your voice. See, that's the key. If you can't find your voice,
Yeah.
it's very difficult to help others find
Yeah,
theirs.
it'll be easier to be silenced with all of the noise if you don't find your own voice. So
Absolutely.
that's really good. So with you kind of sharing with the listeners and also me your stories, experiences, and things of that nature, what is one of the best pieces of advice you have given to one of your mentees?
Wow. And do you mind if, because there's this alarm going off, can I just turn it off real
No,
quick?
go right ahead. Go right
No,
ahead.
take me off the camera real quick,
He's
Miles. I
like,
know
take
y'all
me
can do
off,
that
take me
real quick.
off.
Take
So
me
we'll
off so
go
I can
ahead.
just,
Yeah, while you're doing that, we'll go ahead and acknowledge some of the people that are in the comments.
thank you.
So definitely take your time. So good morning. I'm sorry, good afternoon, Richard. Thank you so much for watching. Cal, hi. Thank you for tapping in. Hey, Mom. Thank you for tapping in. How are you? Thank you guys so much for tapping in. I hope that you guys are taking your notes. I am doing so as Brother Bedford is dropping knowledge and also letting us know what it is that we need to be looking forward to when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to just being in business and finding your niche and sticking to it. So definitely thank you guys so much for tapping in. And we will be
Definitely. So that's what I was saying. Brother Bedford is like, he's like the epitome of what I try to tell people. All you have to do is be coachable and listen. He had this, but I will say, a lot of people, he has an advantage. He has a discipline that's immeasurable in a lot of cases. So he helps me a lot when I get high headed.
Yeah.
He like, now, dear brother, you got to look at this. You got to think about
Yeah.
this.
Do you hear his voice? He don't even seem like he gets angry, get mad or anything. It's just like his voice will bring you calmness. Like,
I
okay.
told y'all, don't believe the myth. Now that's
So that's one of the
stuff.
ones you said don't believe everything.
Right.
Hey G
I,
baby.
yeah, I get angry like anybody else.
Yeah, you're
And
human. You're human.
absolutely. And this is I think the most people don't talk about the challenges of entrepreneurship. I mean, it's life, to be honest, and I've merged them too. To me, business and life, they're one and the same. And if you can master the science of life, you can master the science of business. So when people
That
run
is
into
true.
challenges in entrepreneurship and business, they almost act as if you don't have challenges in life, right? Relationship challenges, you still got to pay
Yeah.
bills, you still got. So the key is it's going to be hard, whether you're running your own thing or not. It's going to be hard in business. It's going to be hard on the job, right? You just have to choose your hard, right? You
Yeah,
got
your
to
level
choose
of hard.
right, which one are you
Exactly.
willing to tolerate?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's not necessarily the level. Sometimes the what makes the intensity softened or not as hard is that when you have, let's quote unquote, a reliable job or reliable income, there is that type of weekly stimulus that allows you to deal with your hard a little bit different. As an
Got it.
entrepreneur, you don't have that every week or every 2 weeks coming in, and you're not relying on anybody else to do that. If you have a boss or job or an employer, there's a part of you that's relying on somebody else to do that. As an entrepreneur, you totally suspend that thinking. It's all on you, and you can't make any excuses. And this is what some of the things that I tell Miles about it. And I try to tell Miles, you got to change that language of them, they, those. It's all of us, and that's the challenge. Is that you're not going to convince anybody to be able to take on these struggles if they don't feel it internally. If you have not made that declaration that I am going to be completely responsible for my income, my well-being, I'm going to be completely responsible
That's
for
it.
creating and adding value, and I'm not going to blame or point fingers at anybody else if I fall short. That means I just got to get back in
That's
the
a big
lab.
one. That's
You
a
got to
big
get back
one.
in the lab, and you just got to go to work.
So,
Because we
so
want to blame others so much for
Absolutely.
different things that are not going our way, when in reality,
yeah,
we
so
take a step back. It is us.
so brother Bedford, I have a thing where I don't know. I'm not as smooth as you is with my vocabulary. so I tell people, I said you can never serve two masters, right? I have friends be like, well, I got to take from my job to put towards my business. I'm like, that's what. First of all, that's a business model you shouldn't even practice. One, two. When I say you can't serve two masters, it's very difficult to go place 40 hours with a job and then only put 10 hours
Yeah,
in
and
yours
want the same result.
and want different results.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I did you have something you wanted to add to that?
So you can go ahead and add to that. I did have another question though, but
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, to that point though, because there's a slight disagreement there. There was a time, like I said, you grow and you learn. There was a time where I would say, matter of fact, I heard Bob Johnson. I was in a meeting and Bob Johnson was there, and somebody asked him the question, um, how much credence or do you think a person can work their job and then build a business? And then Bob Johnson's response was, I don't pay too much attention to people who are trying to build a business on the side. Um, and I understood what he was saying, kind of in the spirit of what Miles just said. It's a splitting of the mind, as
Yeah.
Miles's language was serving two masters.
I'm at
However,
a point to where I can understand both
yeah,
perspectives.
yeah, and you have to and
Yes.
so that's the thing. What you're saying, you have to understand both, and the reason being, if a person is starting off, from elementary school, middle school, high school, and they're being taught how to be an entrepreneur, how to do something for themselves. Now that person has that mindset already. And mindset, now this is a writer downer for the people in the chat. Mindset is everything. Right? It's everything. And don't
Yes,
gloss
it
over
is.
that. It's like Brother Bedford said, mindset is everything. No, parse those words. And it's not just one mindset. There are mindsets that you have to adjust to as it relates to becoming an entrepreneur and a business owner. There are just some things that your mind is set on that you believe that somebody else just hasn't learned that yet. They may not have
That's so
matured
good.
to that level yet. And so that mindset, conveying that, is going to be a challenge. And so there was a time I would have, because I understood what Bob Johnson was saying, and I would have agreed with that. However, nowadays, I understand the value of someone taking their time. Now, here's the thing, it may take longer, You have to be patient. Someone
Ooh,
who's trying
patience is
to
key.
think about someone who's literally, in fact, you almost have to have some degree of mercy and compassion for a person who has the desire to want to do something for themselves. However, I'm married, right? My wife ain't rolling like that. And she needs the electric bill paid today.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So see when you're
The reality
so
of things hit.
exact.
So
So there are just so many factors in other people's lives that to make that declaration. If I meet a brother, see, I'm doing him a disservice or her a disservice if they're telling me, well, Brother Bedford, I got a job, I got 2 children. My wife is going to school. She's got student loan debt. And then I sit up here and say, well, no, brother, you got to just go all in on your business.
exactly. I think it's best to always have a plan. And that's what I always say. I understand both ends of it because I'm the
Yeah.
type of person where I won't hop into anything else until I feel like I have some type of security and or a
Yeah.
plan kind of going into. So I think it's actually logical to have a 9 to 5 and be able to use that as your foundation to
Absolutely.
kind of push and or fuel your business in hopes
Absolutely.
that at one point you won't have to do both. But for now,
Absolutely.
this is the reality of things. So I do understand both, but essentially the goal is to be full time with your business. So
Yeah. And here's so the rationale of knowing what it takes to build the business is one thing, right? That's kind of what we're saying, right? That you have to have the mindset, the energy, the spirit to go all in on your business. However, if you just ignore all of the factors that another person has to deal with. See, you ain't sleeping with them. You
exactly.
don't know their mother. You don't know their father. You don't know their responsibilities because most people will never share with you their true financial hardships that they're
That's
going
it.
through. Now, I've heard a statement that say some people would rather walk down the street butt naked than to share their financial
Yeah.
status with people,
They just
right?
gonna keep faking it till they make it. Yeah, because that's essentially what
Absolutely.
we've been taught to do. Fake it till you make
Absolutely.
it.
But
So
yeah,
I've learned. Just to let me put a bonus. So I've learned that yes, you want persons to kind of go all in, but if you don't look at all of the factors, all of the habits, all of the behaviors, all of the relationships, their think about this: telling somebody to go all in and they don't even know what they want to do. Remember how we
Yeah,
started
you
off
setting them up
earlier?
for failure.
Yeah, exactly. You're setting them up for failure. Not only just a failure, you're also setting them up to possibly destroy relationships in their lives. Right? And again, that's as you mature, you have to start thinking about this. And then one other thing I'll say about that as well. Because all of us get on our entrepreneurial journey, and I said it earlier about the hardships. And I remember, some of us when we start talking about building a business, becoming an entrepreneur, and then we start criticizing everybody in the family for not being entrepreneurial, and some of us get crazy, especially in the D. We get crazy. We start calling family members,
Yeah,
"You broke," and
you
we start
broke.
calling them names. But here's what happens
Cause wasn't
when
you
you
just
have
working a
your
nine to
first
five?
when you have your first. Mike Tyson has this saying, right? The great prophet Mike Tyson, right? He says, "Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth."
Yeah.
And
Now
if
we need
there's an
another one.
entrepreneur who can tell me that they have not been
never
punched in
been
the
punched in
mouth,
the
they
mouth.
are lying,
They lie.
right? And so here's the thing: you got to remember now, you done got punched in the mouth. Things didn't work out. And now you got to go right back to them same people that you called
Yeah.
crazy. They
Crazy.
got their jobs, they barbecue, and they doing whatever. And now you got to say, you know what, I need a few dollars. See, it's just not, as you grow, you have to understand, you say, that's just not even right. So how do I not even burn that bridge
Exactly.
even before I have to deal with that? You just treat people right. And if
That is
you are
true.
who you say you are as an entrepreneur, you'll attract the right people and they'll follow
That'll show. I think that
instead
that's
of you
true.
making them.
So speaking of that, so what has been your most humbling moment as an entrepreneur?
Woo! You mean besides the bankruptcies, the foreclosures, the repossessions, all of
I
that?
like your transparency. Thank you for that.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Name me. See, this is the fallacy that we fall upon. Name me one who hasn't had to go through trials. Tyler Perry was homeless.
Listen, people who are not entrepreneurs go through trials, so we all do.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's why we always see that's the danger. And I'm freezing up again. Hopefully I come. That's the danger of the comparison thing, because what happens is we compare somebody else's evolved state or their front stage to our backstage, right? So we look at Tyler Perry now, 1.4 billion, and I'm doing a presentation right now where I'm talking about intellectual property, and I include Tyler Perry into the story because when I talked about promotion, we were partners in a promotion on Tyler Perry's first stage play. His first stage play bombed for 6 straight years.
Did it? I only
It-
remember the ones that were good or them being good.
And that's my point. He was
That's
homeless.
his whole-
He was about to give
Wow.
up. He was in Detroit. I think we were at the Masonic Temple, and we were backstage. Now, I want you to think about this. This was probably in early 90s. Can't remember the exact date. Early 90s. Anyway, we were backstage, and this show is bombed. The promoters are angry. And you know what Tyler Perry is thinking about? His next stage
Next
play.
one, yeah.
And you know what that next stage play ended up having to be? I Can Do Bad All By Myself with
That was a
Medea.
good one.
But think about it. So from that, being homeless, borrowing money, being called everything's in your bum, it ain't gonna work, to the following year, catch lightning in the bottle with Medea, and now Medea, and the reason I put it in my presentation because that's Tyler Perry's intellectual property, creating this story, this character. Medea has turned into a $1.4 billion masterpiece. He has a studio. I think it's 300 and some, over 300 acres that rivals
Yes.
Disney. So Tyler Perry is literally like our Walt Disney. However, he was homeless. He was homeless.
Yeah.
And I don't think people get the understanding about a drive. So Tyler Perry also, we have to remember too, he didn't have children.
That's true.
He was not married.
That
Yep.
is true.
So
he
we-
said that too. He
Yeah.
said, "I'm married. I just can't say, oh well, I
Exactly.
got to figure it out."
Yeah,
Yep.
but Brother Bedford, he was a lone ranger. Trust me, he started doing ebooks before they was called ebooks.
Yeah.
It was just
Nice.
it was just a downloadable PDF.
I wouldn't say before they was called, we were just doing the PDFs and it was before Amazon, right? So now you
Right.
you
Got
go to
it.
Amazon and it's an ebook, but we were uploading
Now it's the
PDFs.
Audible. Yeah. Nice. So, okay. So that was, you said before the Amazon and you being able to do the Audible books.
Think about everything that I said with those conversations with Black millionaires, all of that. That was before. So think about this. That was before Amazon. That was before YouTube. That was
So that was
before
the beginning.
Facebook. That was
Whoa.
before high-speed internet. We were still on dial-up. So we would be uploading a document and you would be hearing
And
the
it'll
screeching sound.
take a little bit. Yeah.
And it takes forever. So,
Yeah.
So think about what you're doing. Again, it's just the time. We didn't know that this was coming. Podcast. So he mentioned that. So I literally, a few years later, I took those interviews that we did on freeconferencecall.com and I turned them into a podcast.
Wow.
And so people were saying, like, you one of the early adopters of podcasting. I was like, I guess.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I
You had
wasn't
you
thinking
had the
about it that
blueprint.
Wasn't thinking about it that way.
So what is one thing that you wish that you knew before becoming an entrepreneur?
That this is a lifelong journey. I think now I'm more at ease now because the work that I'm doing right now, even the project that I just mentioned to you, I'm doing that for the next 25 years.
The longevity.
See, that gives you, but here, think about just that positioning. It not only gives you longevity and all of that, think of the pressure that I just released for myself because I'm not trying to get it done next year.
That
So
is
many
good.
entrepreneurs are trying to hit the lick, make it big, have a complete project, everything within the next 6 months, 90 days. And that's where you literally killing yourself. But if
Yeah.
you have an idea and you say, you know what? See, so one step closer, the thing that would make you really move with this show and all of the auxiliary things that come from this show, if you say, we're going to be doing this for the next 10 years.
I received that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now if
I
you're doing it for the
received
next
that.
10 years, so now you got a goal of 10 years. So now you start, okay, so how do we make it better? How do we grow? What do we do to make it? So now you start looking at each quarter of making it better.
Yeah.
What are the goals? What are the objectives? How do we get there? And then meet
Yeah.
those things. Then you just assess what worked, what didn't work. Miles, what
That's
didn't work
true.
this last 90 days?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to scrap that. We need to do something else. But most entrepreneurs, most of
Yeah.
us, we're not giving ourselves enough time to even develop
That is
an
true.
idea, and therefore, that's why
It's
we're in and out.
incomplete.
We're on to
That
the
is-
next one.
That is true. I see that so much. The
Yeah.
the inconsistency of things definitely can shake some foundations. So
Yeah.
I definitely get that. So what's one common mistake that you see young entrepreneurs making now? That maybe you would want to see them shift, or if you think that it's necessary for them to go through that to get to the next level.
I would tie it into what we just said. If I was talking to my younger self and younger entrepreneurs, and I can't remember, there's a quote that said that you can get so much done, and I'm gonna mess up the quote, so I'm not even gonna try to quote it, but so I'll paraphrase it.
Yeah.
Is that you'll get more done over, if you give yourself 10 years, you'll be surprised at what you can complete in 10 years. But if you give yourself a short amount of time thinking that you can complete so much, you just can't do it. And so I would tell all young entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, first, discover your gifts. That's the first thing. There's no two snowflakes alike. There are no two raindrops alike. There's no two grains of sand alike. No
Fingerprints
two
or
blades
anything.
of grass alike. You are completely unique. And what has happened is that most of us strive to be carbon copies, and then we wonder why it doesn't work or why it takes so long. And it's because, and I believe it was Oscar Wilde who says this. He says, be yourself, because everybody else is already taken.
Taken. Yes,
Right?
that's all I know how to be.
Yeah, but think about it, that's easier said than done when you're constantly
course.
competing and comparing, right?
Yeah, and
But
social
if you
media
can
makes
get out
it
of
no better.
Absolutely. So if you can get out of competing and comparing and now focus on what is it that makes me completely unique. And I'm still unpacking this for myself as I grow, right? You all talk about my mannerisms. That wasn't always the case because it's hard. Can you imagine? And I've seen it often when you have mentors, or we like to use the term jekna. Jekna is a term from Ethiopia that is a much better term than mentor. If you study mentor, he wasn't a great guy. You'll discover, most things are named after people. So mentor wasn't a great guy. Jekna is a much better term because it encompasses what you truly mean and reflect in someone's life. And I learned that from a Jekna of mine, Dr. Anthony Browder, who wrote the Browder Files. And so if anybody wants to really understand about Egyptology and things like that, look up Dr. Anthony Browder. But I learned that from him. But here's the thing with mentors that you have to be careful is that it's the path to mastery. You should have this apprenticeship type of thing where you're following a mentor, but at some point you have to grow into who and what you are. So you use them as a base, you study them, you emulate them, you model them. But if you're not careful, you'll start to try to be like them. And then you'll wonder why you're running into things. So I can't be Dr.
That's
Frazier.
interesting. So is that a fine line? So essentially
Very
a
fine
mentor
line.
is not necessarily getting you to be like them, but just giving them tools, wisdom, and knowledge to go forward.
Absolutely. And here's the flip side of that, is that every mentor does not possess that same quality as well. Because now a good mentor, for the lack of a better term, right? Because I know everybody don't know what Jekna is, so I don't want to keep saying Jekna. They'd be like, what did he say?
No,
What is he talking about?
spell that real quick. Jekna.
Jegna.
Okay, Jekna.
Jekna.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jekna.
Okay.
But so
Shout out
it's
to my
twofold,
Jekna.
because again, we're going to use the term mentor because that's what everybody's familiar with. a good mentor, if they're full of ego, when you're studying up under them, they won't allow you to be unique, and because you'll see some things and express some things, they'll be like, no, no, you don't do it like that. That's not how we do it. And now you find yourself, okay, you're squashing what God is really bringing up in you to do. So you want to learn from the mentor, but now you see things differently. So, but a good mentor would encourage you to
To
take
see
what I'm
things
giving
different.
you and then develop it and make it your own. That's what I love about Dr. Frazier. He's always encouraged me to be myself, right? It's never been, no, brother, we don't do it that way. He would teach me a lesson. Here's the principle, even if he had to spank my hand. And then it was like, don't do that. Okay, now go forth, young man. And so that's what I would hope that most of us, when we're seeking out mentorship, is to still find that one, because that's going to help to give you your base, your apprenticeship to learn some things. But at some point, and it doesn't have to be, because I do want to say the caveat, because I'm not saying in 6 months you know better than the teacher,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Some apprenticeships should last. If you study any ancient history, apprenticeships could last like 9, 10, 15 years,
That
right? So
is
you're
true.
studying and mastering, and then you're moving on. We're so, I got to have it now. In 30 days, I'm ready to jet out. That's the
Yeah.
problem. So be a good student,
Microwavable
is what I
culture.
would say.
And that's what I was explaining to Shanny a few months ago. Like, to be a mentor, it's not, you just really, if you're looking for a mentor, also just show up too. Don't just call them when you need something. You know, be there. Just, hey, I'm stopping by. You need anything? What can we get done? People think mentorship is something you just pull from somebody every time you need them.
Yeah. Well,
That's
that's something you should
interesting.
probably do. I would even, if so, think about the model that I use with conversations with Black millionaires. To, and it's funny as we're saying this, I just got a text from both George Frazier and we didn't even mention him, Dr. Michael V. Roberts. Um,
Hello.
he sends stuff. So that's another teacher. It's not like I need to teach you something. Here's an article. Watch this.
Yeah.
Right. So he just sent me a link to something. So after I get off with you, I'll do that. But
So a lot in mentorship and being a mentor is the what you learn on your own, pretty much the self work.
that's absolutely it. If you look again, think about what we said earlier. At some point, and it's a thin. You said it. I like the way that you phrased it. It's a thin line, because if you become dependent on the mentor, you're expecting them to do it for you. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble, is that, so, the language from the streets of Detroit be like, you're looking for somebody to put you on, right?
Yeah.
And then if they don't put you on, then you mad
You
at them,
lost.
they hating
Yeah.
on you.
So, how do you think? How important? I got one question. Right, my only question I'm asking: how important is reading when you're an entrepreneur, or just
It's,
a
e-
person?
it's everything. It's everything. There was a time, we used to read, and now some people have gifts, where they can still read the universe, right? They can read the stars and the sun and the moon and the constellations and kind of read. That's the ultimate book, nature, right? Studying nature. However, we would be kind of shooting ourselves in the foot if we didn't recognize the value of reading to help spark our potential, right? Because there's just some things. Reading helps to refine what it is that you're talking about, your
Yeah.
thinking, your
That is true.
ideas, right? So we can have, and here's what I would say is
Very true,
another, you asked me a
Alex.
question earlier. Here's another challenge for the youth, is that we're winging it, right? So, and we're winging it without reading. So when we have an idea, why not read it, put it through the process of testing your idea to see if you got a good idea. And as a matter of fact, if you're reading the right materials from the right people, that's only going to help to strengthen your idea and give you different nuance that you've never even considered. Why? Because you haven't read anything, right?
Exactly. To
So
even spark that interest. Yeah.
those are some. If I'm talking to a young brother or sister on that, that's, if I'm going to speak straight words on that point, I would say, that's kind of the ego. And that's something you're going to have to get over. If you're telling me that you can't read 5, 10 minutes a day on an area that interests. Now, here's the thing, that to another thing, Miles, because if they're not reading materials that interest them, that's going to be a problem, right? So
So that's where you should start.
a good mentor again says, what are you interested in? What are you curious about? So when I'm doing things like this, or if we're on Zoom and I'm having interviews with people, I'm talking to people who are in the mastermind or something like that, I'm always looking at the box to see what lights them up. So sometimes they're coming to me with these business ideas or they're in the business and you can almost tell it's draining the hell out of them. I hope I can say hell on your show.
Yes.
It's draining them and there's nothing happening. But then as soon as they start talking about something else, their box light up.
Yes.
And I'll immediately tell, I said, that's what you should be working on. Because that's
Yes.
what gives you joy and excitement, that energizes you, that motivates you. And I don't have to drag you to that subject matter. You love that subject matter. So that's what we got to start
and then that'll
finding out.
make you want to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I have a Yamina, she's in the comments. She said recommend one good book or two. I know you did earlier. I did jot them down. Just want to make sure I got the right name. So that's Conversation with Millionaires and Think and Grow Rich.
Yes, I would say success because Conversation with Black Millionaires, that's my stuff, those interviews, and those are some small things on Amazon, but definitely Dr. Frazier. Also, since Mike Roberts' book, Action Has No Season, would be an excellent book to read. Both of his book, Action Has No Season, Part 1 and Part 2.
I got both of those.
Yeah.
Action Has No Season. I like this.
And then, of course, all of the classics. But to be honest with you, and so let me answer that question a little bit differently for that person. There isn't one book. There isn't one book. And I think that's a challenge for a lot. What is the book that you can give me that's going to change everything? And there isn't one book. You have to become a student. If you saw my library, you'd be like,
it's
well, damn.
ridiculous.
Right.
So got a few options.
Yeah. So it's books. It's areas of interest. It's categories that you should be looking, and it's people. So think about if that person asked me the question, if again, just quickly, I would say, well, who do you like? And I would let them tell, and then I would say, go find their book, go find their blog. So now that you can see how they did it, because now you'll be interested in what they're doing. But there's always the classics, and Think and Grow Rich, Success, As a Man Thinketh, The Magic of Thinking Big. You can't go wrong with reading all of those things. But I can honestly tell you, I know a lot of people who've read a lot of those things, but not having context, they can't really apply it in their lives. And so that's why you have to just be a student.
Yeah, because not only reading but comprehending. That's definitely.
Brother Bedford, it's a book I suggest anybody who's dealing with business that's in the marketing.
The Purple Cow.
Purple Cow by Seth Godin.
Yeah. All of his works. I would tell people to read all of Seth Godin's work, especially if you want to start thinking about marketing.
I've heard Rich Dad, Poor Dad is good.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes.
Matter of fact, not just Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I would read all three of the books in his, the first three books in his series: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, and Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. I would read those. Those. There's so many. We've even mentioned Stephen Covey's work, The Eighth Habit. We could go on and on and on. I tried to mix it up with, of course, Black authors. I mean, Tavis Smiley has books. Les Brown has books and audios. I got friends all over the place with books. So find your area.
Yes.
Interest and curiosity.
And start there.
And study those. But if you're just looking for a general book, you can't go wrong with any of the things that we just mentioned. But get in the habit of being a student. Now, here's the other thing. You got ChatGPT now. So you can literally go in and get a summary. You can go in and get a summary on all of these books that we just named if you don't like to read. However, I will be honest with you. You still have to internalize this stuff. It has to become your mindset. If it doesn't become you, if you're not internalizing it, it just means that you're reading the book for I don't want to call it vain purposes, but there's a sense of vanity so that you can say, I read these books. But if it doesn't stimulate your thinking to now where you're going out and you're being creative, you're building, you're producing something on your own, then it's almost an act of vanity. So I would say just become a student, learn as much as you can, and keep going.
It's one more thing. Somebody put in there the Bible.
Yes, the Bible.
Yeah. My man Myron Golden, another friend of mine. I don't know how many of you watch Myron Golden's videos. Myron Golden teaches. You can go to his YouTube channel. Over the past year, 2 years, he's went from 10,000 followers to well over 1 million followers. And Myron Golden teaches business principles from the Bible.
Okay. So business, Miss Rhea, business principles from the Bible.
Matter of fact, here's one of his books right here. Now, here's the other thing you got to understand too. Look at what I'm doing. I am not stingy with the knowledge. There is no secret books, right? So there go Myron's book, right? Here's Daniel Priestley's book, both of his books.
Key person of influence.
Oops, yep, I just dropped that. So
No,
I'm
it's
giving you a
okay.
part of my library. And then that person who mentioned, this is all right here on my desk, that person who said, there's the Bible. But
That's
also,
so nice.
And
but,
what else you
but
got?
also,
What else you got there? Show
but
'em.
also, there's the Quran,
the Holy Quran.
Wow.
right? So all
That's the one that was written in another language.
No, well, yeah, that's for Muslims, correct?
Okay.
Yeah, so the knowledge is universal. It's
Whoa.
there isn't a book or universal teaching that doesn't have principles, right? So we got to learn the principles. Now, again, all of these people that we're talking about, they have their vantage point, they have their view, but then at some point you want to have your own view on the same principles, the same guiding principles. So
That is true. That is true. Wow. Thank you so much, Brother Bedford. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Before we do get out of here, I want to ask you a few more questions. One being,
can you go to the break real quick? I just got to do one thing over here. Can you check the chat before we ask the last two
Yes,
questions?
we
we
can
can.
definitely check the chat. We have a lot going on in the chat. Thank you so much to everybody that is tapping in.
I told you.
Yes, Miles has definitely said yes. Everything that Brother Bedford has said and dropped knowledge on us today, Miles has been telling me.
Well, you have to
But
tell
luckily,
people
I'm
that.
coachable.
You're very coachable. But
And I'm gonna get into it.
Here's the great
So-
thing. Here's the great thing about people who I'm introducing you to, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are the truth.
Yeah.
And when he speak the way he speak is where I'm trying to get to.
I like his delivery.
His delivery is on point. But here's the thing about Brother Bedford. Brother Bedford, he has a love for black people.
Yes.
That most
Yes.
people don't have when they speaking about black people.
That is true. And I feel like that is something that kind of stuck out to me in his bio when he said he is for being helpful, ambitious, for growth-minded black entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean,
The emphasis on that.
when I say when he got in there, I don't know. Can I say would some of your teachers come from Brother Bedford? Would you like for me to bring that up?
I told you I'm an open book, brother. I have no secrets. Whatever you want to talk about. Even though I know we only have a few minutes left because I do have another point.
Got you. Brother Bedford is from the nation. Well, not from. He's from his mother, but brother.
You wouldn't say.
Brother Bedford was in the Nation of Islam, or is in the Nation of Islam. So his discipline is different. His purpose is different. This is what I tell people. Do I love? Of course, but I love the word purpose more than I love the word love. And I tell people that all the time. Brother Bedford has a purpose on why he's even in business.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why I can continue those 15, 20 plus years because of the fact that it's a purpose and it's his calling. So again, Brother Bedford, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, the last two questions were, what is your favorite part about being a mentor? And then the last question is going to be just giving one more piece of key advice to people to let them know that they are one step closer.
Okay. I do want to say something that Miles and you said when I was coming back to the camera before I answer those two questions. So make sure I don't forget the two questions.
Okay, I got you.
But the thing that I want to mention, I was with Dr. Frazier at the conclusion of one of the power networking conferences. And the following day, they have what's called a bonus day. And that bonus day was actually sponsored by a white financial institution. Now, the reason they sponsored is because Dr. Frazier has all of these hundreds and thousands of black folks who are upwardly mobile. And so, of course, they got a product that they want to sell. I wasn't feeling that too much, right? At the beginning, I wasn't feeling that too much. But Dr. Frazier caught my thought as well because he didn't really arrange it, but again, because he has such a big organization at that time. But I was thinking something, and this is a Sunday morning, so the conference is over at Saturday night. We had the Wakanda party the night before, so we really black that night.
Yeah.
Then the Sunday morning brunch is sponsored by all of these white folks. So you see all these white folks around trying to get people to sign up. And as I'm walking in, I'm having this thought, but clearly Dr. Frazier is having this thought at the same time because he looks at me and I'm thinking this and he says, they don't need me. He's talking about the white folk. He's pointing at them. He said, our people need me. And he said it, then he looked at me and he said, our people need you too. And I was just thinking
That's so
that.
profound.
It's very profound because when you mention like the love for our people, they've had teachers forever. They've had
That's a
people
good
delivering, being examples
Great
for
point.
them forever. As I mentioned, when I was reading that book, Conversations with Millionaires, I mean, Zig Ziglar, all of these people, they were all in there. But nobody was really talking about our black millionaires. So that's why that idea stuck out to me. Because if I tried to teach just the white folks, they'd be like, they don't need me. They can go read Napoleon Hill.
Exactly. They already got
But
the sauce. Yeah.
they already got it. But our people, if you look at our condition, and I do this every day because we're in downtown Atlanta, and just to see our condition, the homelessness and the depravity of us, our people need us, right? So that
More so now than ever.
than ever. So that's to that point about when we were talking about the love. It's a natural love, but it's also a necessary love, right? So again, I don't even have a desire. If someone called me and said, we need you to speak to 1,000 white men, I'd be like, for what? What am I going to say? I have
Exactly.
nothing to say. But if somebody said, we need you to speak to 1,000 black men, I'm popping tall. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'll be
Next
there in 10
flight.
minutes.
Okay.
All right. So that's kind of that. I just wanted to say that because I think that's a
Thank
key
you.
for our people. If anybody again is looking, that's ties into what Miles said. That goes into purpose, right? That's a driver for me. That's a driver for me. And if a person wants to have something that drives them, find that in your people, and you'll find it. You're like, you know what? But as soon as you start saying, I can't stand these, and I don't want to be around these, it's going to be very difficult to serve them because you can't serve what you don't love. You just can't serve what you don't love. So,
Another gem, ladies and gentlemen.
so think
Another
about that
gem.
when you're trying to do that. And here's the thing, and what'll happen, you'll start getting mad at them for not supporting you. Hopefully, so I always try to go forth with the love first. So anybody who sees this, I ain't asked you to buy nothing. Don't. I'm gonna serve you, and then one day you'll say, you know what? I'm gonna see what I can do with
Yes.
Brother B. That's the way it should
Now
be.
it's time. Yeah.
That's
And I
right.
feel like
So
that's
just
how it should be. People
that's the way it
work in
should
their business and or products should speak for itself. So
absolutely.
And the last two
Absolutely.
questions.
the last,
So the
two,
last two
questions
questions.
was yes, what is your favorite part about being a mentor? And then also what is one additional piece of advice that you would give to the listeners in regards to them being one step closer to any goal, aspiration, business that they have going on?
Repeat the last question again, the second question, because I want to think about it.
No, you're fine. So what is another piece of advice that you would give to the listeners to let them know that they are indeed one step closer to their goals, dreams, aspirations, businesses, etc.?
Okay, got it. The first, what do I enjoy most about being a mentor? And this is the honest to God truth. I alluded to it earlier, but I'll say it very directly. I talked about the Zoom boxes and how they light up when a person. The thing I love most about, for the lack of a better term, being a person who helps other people, mentors, you said, is to see the light bulb go off in their head. Nothing excites me more than to do what we're doing and I'm talking to someone or I'm showing someone or I'm creating an experience for someone, right? Whether it's someone coming to the conference, or one of the conferences or a mastermind or anything like that, then all of a sudden they like, Brother B, I got it. When I see that light bulb go off, then I'm like, okay, I did my job. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the key.
That
Because
was
they
my
got to
purpose.
get that light.
Yeah,
They
that was
got to
your
get the light
purpose.
for themselves. They got to get it for themselves. And the second part, we've already talked about it. When you say one step close, to be quite honest with you, You're already there. It's not an outward journey. It's an inward. The sooner you turn it inward, you'll say, I'm closer than I thought I was. You really believe, you'll say, you know what, I'm thinking I got this long, arduous thing that I have to do. But if you can focus on developing your uniqueness, again, remember, if God has already given it to you, you're already close.
Who can take it?
You just have to realize that we've been so outwardly thinking, outwardly mobile, chasing. We're always chasing, right? We're chasing, we're busy. But as soon as we start slowing it down, and here's the thing about professionals, we talk about in pro sports, those who excel at pro sports, they learn how to slow the game down. If I can tell any entrepreneur right now, slow the game down. Simplify the game. Focus on the basics. Practice with your left hand, practice with your right hand. But as soon as you start speeding up and you're trying to be like Mike, you're going to have some problems. So those will be my last two answers to those.
Thank you so much, Brother Bedford, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join me here on One Step Closer. I want to thank everybody for tuning in the chat. Thank you so much. I definitely will see you next week. And just remember, on today and every day, you are one step closer. See you next week. Bye.
One step closer. You got to get one step closer. Closer to love, closer to God, closer to who you want to be in life. Why? You got to get one step closer. Closer to love, closer to God, closer to who you want to be in life. Take one step at a time to reach your goal.